Forest Hill Road. I won't go back through the lack of code enforcement downtown. I will just kind of jump into the reason that this ordinance took 4 to 5 public meetings to create was because it was written in a way to align with the master plan, and also written in a way that it aligns with the development that's going on currently and the development that we hope will go on in the future. Sign ordinance is going to help merchants. So the concept that there's impediments to the merchants is just does not make sense. Blinging, flashing, scrolling signs in windows is not an inviting aesthetic, and you can ask any number of cities across the country that have prohibited them in their towns. I know that the downtown is an issue and signs are an issue because it was mentioned in the Vision 2025 project by many, many people. Many people worked the downtown into any topic, even those that had no relationship to that topic at all. With respect to the freedom of speech issue, I think it's important that we point out there's 2 parts to the sign ordinance. There's the picture book guide, which plays off of the actual legal ordinance. The very first sentence under purpose, number 1, says, "It is not the purpose or intent of this sign ordinance to regulate the content displayed on any sign." It goes on from there. There is one little sentence in here that mentions monument signs, and it's a poorly worded description about how they can relate to graphical references on-site and on-site activities for the church. The description was written to kind of describe what kind of messages might go on there. You could edit that out and you're good to go. And by the way, the legal ordinance is here. So that isn't actually a thing. I'll go on to say that the impediment issue here, with respect to what the mayor said in TAPinto, I'll remind a lot of you here voted to pass a sick pay bill. That is literally an impediment to business. It costs some money, but you voted for it because it's the right thing to do for the people that work in the city. So sometimes when there's an impediment or perceived impediment to a business, it's okay to do that because it's the right thing to do in the long run. In addition, one man's impediment is not another man's impediment. For example, the Gateway project on South Avenue, what is that, $55–60 million project? The city needs to help that guy because he has to market those apartments pretty soon. Who wants to rent an apartment and look out over South Avenue, which we hope has all sorts of additional development, restaurants, other stores, other mixed-use developments all along there to support the 200-something units that are going in. Who wants to rent an apartment and look down South Avenue at blinging, flashing, pulsating lights like it's Vegas, when it's not Vegas? There's no casinos, there's no entertainment. Nobody wants to do that. I think that it's important that when you think about this stuff, you think about supporting the future of Plainfield, developers who are spending a lot of money, and somebody who maybe on South Avenue or downtown may want to put in a restaurant, put in an outdoor patio. Who wants to sit in an outdoor patio with flashing, scrolling lights going on all around? Nobody does. Nobody wants to create any impediments to business, but again, one man's impediment is not necessarily another's, and I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Improving the signage downtown, enforcing existing codes, cleaning up the streets, the trash and the litter, and making sure our expensive decorative streetlights are working quickly when the light bulbs go out, that helps merchants. That's one way to help merchants. If a flashing, blinging, or scrolling sign is what they think will bring them more business, then they've got bigger problems than we're able to help them. And on another note, the little illicit kind of war on Christmas that was mentioned in TAPinto, that what are people going to do with Christmas signs, that happy holiday signs, that falls under temporary signage. There's no permit required, they're allowed to put it up. The only restriction is the time frame that it's allowed to be up there. So there's no issue. Nothing in there required that this ordinance be tabled. And oddly, it did require for the tabling that you all really ask some questions about why it's being tabled and get specifics. If the mayor asks to have something tabled, you should have a conversation about why it's being tabled, why he thinks it should be tabled, and you decide whether or not you think that's accurate. You don't just table something and wait for your next instruction. That's really not how the whole process works. And I think you need to reconsider that, because at some point this bill is going to come back before you and you're going to have to read it. And I would assume that you all read it the first time and noted that there is no freedom of speech issue in this at all.